Buon bloody giorno, and welcome back to another episode of Quacks and Chats. Yes, that's a mix of French and Italian and English. No, we're not translating it. And yes, I'm wearing a Christmas hat on top of my ducket hat. So let's just accept that and move on. So this is your Christmas special, and I want to be clear from the start, this episode isn't loud, it isn't rushed, it isn't pretending everything's perfect, because it's not. Today we're slowing it down. I'm talking about my Christmas plans, what proper rest looks like this year. We're looking at mental health at Christmas using cold hard facts, not just opinion. Community Corner is back, so thank you people who checked in after last week's episode. And we've got some weird and funny news to lighten it up, because we need to bring that back. And before we finish, I'll talk about who's coming up and what's coming up in the new year, including an episode with...
Hear the laughs, feel the chat, stories spinning, imagine that. Life, game, and little sass, Quacks and Chats, a bearded Steve podcast. Bearded Steve podcast.
Right, let's get into it. Christmas plans. And I want to start this section by saying something clearly, because I think a lot of people quietly need to hear it this time of year. We don't owe anyone a performative Christmas. You don't owe anyone constant availability, endless energy, or a version of yourself that's running on empty just to keep other people comfortable. This year, my Christmas is intentionally simple, but it's okay. It's also different in a way that's taken me a bit of time to process, because it's my first Christmas without going to my mum and dad's. And if you know what Christmas is like is usually like there, honestly, it's carnage. 8 people all in one house, being surrounded, all talking at once, full of energy, all excited, sometimes screaming, sometimes shouting, sometimes laughing so loud you can't hear yourself think. There's always noise, there's always movement, there's always something happening. And then there's a dog. Rolo, his name, so cute, very loved, but also very bouncy, very excitable, and absolutely convinced that Christmas is happening specifically for him. It's his birthday on that day as well, so it's a double dose of dog energy. And he's not a small boy. He's a bit of a unit, you know. It's chaos, but it's familiar chaos. It's the kind of noise that I grew up with, the kind that becomes background sound without realizing it. So choosing not to be there this year isn't about distance or disconnect. It's about recognizing that this Christmas I don't have that capacity to be in that stimulation. And it's strange to sit with, because 27 years of my life I've had Christmas with my family. And because even when something is good, and even if it's loved and well-intentioned, it's overwhelming. This year, I'm heading down south to see some friends instead. Not in a rush pack schedule way, just properly seeing people, sitting down, catching up, laughing, talking nonsense, and being present without feeling like I need to be on the whole time. There's something grounding about going down south as well. I haven't been down south since February. Yeah, since Feb. So, yeah. It'd be nice. It won't magically fix everything, but it gives me breathing room, and honestly, that's what I need this year to wrap this year off. It's been full. And a lot has happened recently as well, so, but I'm not going to go into that. It's Christmas. It's the Christmas special. Just No big expectations, no pressure to make memories worth posting, just connection at a pace that I can manage. And then we get to Christmas Day itself. And Christmas, I'm doing absolutely nothing. And I can say that without guilt, without apology, and without explaining myself. Christmas Day, for me this year, is about proper rest. Not the kind of rest where you're technically sitting down, but mentally still running through everything you should be doing. I mean, intentionally, consciously, guilt-free rest. My plan for Christmas is simple. I'm having a hot bath, not a rushed one, not a 5 minutes and out situation. One of those baths where you lose track of time. The water goes a bit lukewarm and you have to top it back up with hot water. And you suddenly realize how much tension you've been holding in your shoulders without noticing. Then I'm going to go make a hot chocolate. Probably too sweet, bit unnecessary, but that's kind of the point. Christmas is allowed to be indulgent in small, harmless ways. And then I'm watching films and gaming. That's it. No rushing, no schedule, no obligations. I'm probably going to be in bed by 9. Like, switching my brain off and letting myself exist for a day. And I know for some people that might sound boring, but honestly, after the year I've had, boring sounds perfect. I think we've massively underestimated how tired people are right now, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So many of us have spent most of the year in survival mode, just getting through weeks, managing stress, carrying things quietly, pushing on because that's what you're supposed to do, isn't it? And then Christmas arrives, and then suddenly there's a massive expectation that you should have energy, and that you should be social, joyful, grateful, present all at once. But exhaustion doesn't work like that. You don't reset just because the calendar changes and the days start getting longer. So this year, I'm not forcing it. I'm not trying to recreate Christmases past. I'm not trying to meet expectations that don't fit me right now. And I'm not apologizing for choosing quiet over chaos. Because rest doesn't need to be earned. You don't need to reach breaking point just to justify slowing down. You don't need to explain why you're tired. You definitely don't need to feel guilty for protecting your energy. We've done that recently. If your Christmas looks like staying in, switching off your phone, wearing the same hoodie all day, and doing nothing, that's not a waste of time. That's recovery. And if you want Christmas loud, busy, full, and chaotic, that's okay too. There's no single right way to do this. What I'm trying to do this year is to stop comparing my Christmas to anyone else's, including the versions I've had before. Because comparison is a thief at the best of times, and at Christmas, it's ruthless. Christmas doesn't have to be magical to be meaningful. It doesn't have to be loud to be loving. It doesn't have to look like it always has to still be valid. You don't need to keep to the normal traditions. You can break them, make your new ones, look after yourself. Sometimes Christmas is just a pause, a checkpoint, a moment to breathe before whatever comes next. And that's what this one is for me. A different kind of quiet.
Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast.
Right, this is where we slow things down properly. I want to talk about mental health at Christmas. And I want to do it using facts and not just my personal opinion. Because this time of year is objectively harder for a lot of people. And I think it's important to say out loud, Christmas is often framed as a time of joy, togetherness, and celebration. But when you look at the data, the picture is a lot more complicated. Let's start with something basic. According to the UK health charities like Mind and Samaritans, the winter period, particularly December and early January, consistently sees an increase in people seeking mental health support. Samaritan's report on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and New Year's Day are among the times where people reach out in crisis, not because Christmas causes mental illness, and I'm not saying it's that, but it amplifies what's already felt inside. That's the important distinction between it. This time of year doesn't create problems out of nowhere. It turns the volume up on existing ones. One of the biggest contributors is loneliness. The Office of National Statistics has repeatedly shown that feelings of loneliness increase during the Christmas and festive period, especially among people who live alone, young adults, people who are already socially isolated, and people who feel disconnected from family. Christmas is heavily centered around togetherness. So if you don't have that, or it's complicated, the contrast becomes impossible to ignore. And then that hits differently. Another major factor is financial pressure. We've seen the cost of living be an issue for the last 3-4 years. And we're expected to go out and buy lavish gifts that have been price marked up. And then it's just horrid. December is one of the most expensive months of this year, of the year. Gifts, travel, food, social expectations, it all adds up. Research consistently shows that money worries are a major driver of anxiety and depression, and the stress peaks around Christmas. People feel pressured to spend money that they don't have to meet expectations they didn't create. And that creates a specific kind of anxiety, the kind where you feel like you're failing before the day has even arrived. Then there's family dynamics. For some people, family is comfort. For others, it's complicated. And for some, it's actively triggering. Christmas often means being in close proximity to people you might not feel safe around. Emotionally, old roles reappear, old patterns resurface, boundaries get pushed because it's Christmas. And that can be exhausting, especially for people who have spent years learning how to protect their mental health. Another factor we don't talk about enough is grief. Christmas has a way of heightening absence, empty chairs, unspoken names, traditions that felt wrong without certain people. For people who have lost loved ones, the festive period can reopen wounds that are never fully closed. And that grief doesn't allow and doesn't follow a neat timeline. You don't get over it because it's December and Christmas. Seasonal factors also play a role. Shorter days, less sunlight, disrupted routines, all of these contribute to seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, which is a recognised form of depression linked to the winter months. Low mood, fatigue, sleep issues, a lack of motivation, all increases at this time of year. And then Christmas arrives on top of that. So when people say, why are you not enjoying this? The honest answer for many is because their brain chemistry, environment, and circumstances are stacked against them. None of that and none of it means they're weak. It means they're responding normally to a difficult season. Another important fact, men are statistically less likely to seek mental health support, but more likely to die by suicide. That doesn't stop at Christmas. In fact, the pressure to be fine and not ruin it for others often means people bottle things up even more during the festive period. They don't want to be the downer. They don't want to cause concern. They don't want to be a burden. So they stay quiet. And silence is dangerous. And I've said about this, and it's how I deal with stuff. And I'm finding it's actually a negative thing. That's why checking in matters. That's why listening matters. And that's why it's important to normalise saying, actually, I'm not okay. Even at Christmas. This is what I meant in the intro when I said this time of year asks a lot from people. It asks for energy when people are tired. It asks for joy when people are grieving. It asks for connection when people are feeling alone. It asks for spending when people are struggling. And if you can't meet all of that, you can feel like you're failing. But you're not. The numbers don't lie. The data backs this up. You're not imagining how hard this feels. Struggling at Christmas does not mean you're ungrateful. It does not mean that you don't appreciate what you have. And it does not mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're human in a season that demands a lot. And you're clearly listening to this right now and thinking, or if you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's me. It sounds like me. I want you to hear this clearly. You're not alone. You're not weak. And you're not failing Christmas. If all you manage this season is getting through it, absolutely fine. That's enough. And if you can, check in on people. Not with, are you okay? But how are you really doing? And listen, because sometimes that's the question that opens the door. So if you take anything away from this part of the episode, let it be this. If there's someone that you've not spoken to in a while, who's crossed your mind recently, someone you've thought, yeah, probably should check in on them, do it. Send a message. Make the call. Ask if they fancy a catch up. It doesn't need to be deep. It doesn't need to be dramatic. It doesn't need to fix anything. Sometimes just saying, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. How are you really doing? Can make all the difference. Make more difference than you actually realise. And that goes both ways. If you're listening to this and thinking, I wish someone would check in on me, you're allowed to reach out too. You're allowed to say you're struggling. You're allowed to need support, even at Christmas, especially at Christmas. You don't have to do everything on your own just because it's Christmas. And if you don't know where to start or don't feel comfortable reaching out to people in your life, just know this. The Discord is always open. That space exists for this reason. And if you still feel like too much, I'm a message away. Don't have to have the right words. You don't have to explain everything perfectly. You just, please don't sit with it on your own. This time of year asks a lot from people. And looking after yourself counts as something. So check in on others. Be kind to yourself. And remember, getting through is enough. Right, let's bring this tone up a little bit. Because after all the heavy talking about mental health, I want to remind everyone that this podcast isn't just about struggle, it's about community. And Community Corner is where this really shows. And it's been a while since we've had a proper Community Corner. And I've missed it. Community Corner has always been the heart and soul of Quacks and Chats. It's where I get to step back, talk directly to the people who keep this whole thing going, and share what's happening between episodes. First off, genuinely, thank you. After last week's episode, I had so many messages. Some were long, some were short, some were just a few words like, hey, proud of you for saying that. Every single one meant something. And that's why we're still doing Quacks and Chats. Sometimes when you make podcasts, a stream, whatever, you don't always know who's listening in on the other end. You sit in a room, talk to a mic, hit upload, and hope it lands somewhere that matters. So when people actually take the time to reach out, it reminds me why I started doing this in the first place. To everyone who said kind words, who checked in, who shared the episode, who told a friend to listen, thank you. To those who didn't say anything but still press play, thank you. And to those who have been here quietly for months, maybe never messaged, but keep showing up every Monday, thank you too. Your support counts, even if you've never ever said a word. I always say this podcast isn't a performance, it's a conversation, and that only works because of you lot. So the community corner is the chance to give that space back. Now, I know we joke about the quacky energy of this community, but there's something very special about it. It's you guys that have built a space where people can show up exactly as they are. No pressure to be perfect. No need to be complete. No need to compete as well. Just a genuine connection. And that's rare online these days. What I love is that everyone brings something different. Some of you come from Twitch streams. Some come here from TikTok. Some of you found me through Respawn, Creator Network, or even stumbled in from Spotify. But once you're in, it feels like family. The kind you actually want to spend Christmas with. So if you've checked in, said hi in chat, joined the Discord, or lurked away quietly in the background, this section is for you. So yeah, let me say this clearly. Last week's episode hit a lot of people in the feels, and it hit me too. I hated it. I don't like speaking out when I'm struggling. When I talk about things like burnout or mental health, I'm never sure how it'll be received. It's vulnerable, but this community always meets vulnerability with kindness, not judgment. That's rare, and I don't take it for granted. It's one thing to build numbers, it's another thing to build trust. So yeah, thank you for trusting me enough to stick around while I figure this out loud. Now on to something lighter again in Community Corner, because this question comes from Rachie, who asked,
Hey Steve, hey Community Corner, here's a question I have for you for this week's or whenever you do it. But if you could be in any game at all, what would it be? Okay, that is my question for Community Corner. Bye guys!
So on edit of this, I realised that I answered the wrong question. If I was to be in a game, it would probably be Madden, so I could be a middle linebacker or a running back, and earn money. But yeah, carry on listening, and you can have the original answer of what we came up with. Oh, Jesus. I love this question because it's deceptively deep. At first, it sounds like a fun fantasy talk. When you start thinking about it, it actually says a lot about who you are and what you value. I've thought about it quite a bit. I've had it for about 2 weeks, this question. And we didn't put it in last week because I was still thinking and being like, oh, am I this? Am I Crash Bandicoot? Am I Spyro? Am I John from... Is it John from GTA? I haven't played GTA. Michael from GTA. Am I Trevor? Am I whoever? But yeah. And the answer that circled back was Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. Well, Red Dead Redemption 2. Not because he's flawless, far from it, but because his story is about change. It's about the redemption. It's about trying to do better when it actually counts. Arthur starts off rough around the edges, stubborn, violent, loyal to a fault. I'm not violent. I'm not violent, but the stubborn and loyal to a fault. But across the game, you can watch him question everything. You can see him wrestle with who he is, what he's done, and what kind of man he wants to be before it's too late. And that resonates with me because I think most of us reach points in our lives where we realize we can't undo the past, but we can choose how to move forward. Arthur's story is messy, it's painful, and it's honest. And he reminds me that change doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be real. And let's be honest, he has a cool horse and a great hat. And I can't ride a horse, but I've got a cool hat. And that alone earns him points. But seriously, that's why I love this question. They start as banter and end up hitting something different. So, Rachie, thank you so much for that one. It is great. So, everyone listening, I'd love to hear yours. If you put it in the comments down below, wherever you're listening this on, or drop it in the Discord. Who would you be if you were in a game? Who would be your game character? And we'll bring the answers to the next community corner at the start of the new year. So get creative. You've got plenty of time. Whether it's something serious like Ellie from The Last of Us, or something ridiculous like the goose from the Untitled Goose Game, I want to hear it. You've got loads of time. Get them in the comments, put them in the Discord, message me them, and we'll include them in next week's the next episode's community corner. Before we wrap up this section, I just want to highlight something that really sticks with me about this community. Every time life gets messy, every time someone drops a message saying they're struggling, there's always a response. Someone else checking in, dropping a kind word, and even an emoji that's saying, I see you. That's what makes this whole thing special. Not the numbers, not the graphics, not the episode, definitely not the host, the people. So, to everyone in this community, keep being the person who checks in. Keep being the reason someone feels seen. And if you're new and wondering whether you belong here, the answer is yes, you absolutely do. Right, that's enough wholesome energy before I start getting emotional again and we go on a 10-minute rant. Thank you for every message, every comment, every listen. Thank you for giving me space to be honest and still feel supported. If you haven't already, jump in the Discord. It's a safe place to chat, vent, share wins, or just drop memes when life feels heavy. And if Discord isn't your thing, you know where to find me. I'm just a message away. Community Corner will be back in the new year, but this felt like the perfect way to bring it back. Gratitude, conversation, and a bit of heart. Now, let's have some fun, because coming up, we have the weird and funny news stories from around the world, and trust me, they are chaotic.
Podcast.
Right, it's time. Woo! For something after some heavy sections, this bit of the episode is where we all collectively agree that the world is ridiculous and that sometimes the best coping mechanism is just laughing at it. Welcome to Weird and Funny News, or This Week, What Happened. And this, honestly, this week did not disappoint. So there was a drunk where we have to start this with this. We have to start with this because it might be one of the funniest news articles I've read in a while. A raccoon in Virginia has gone viral after passing out drunk following a late night rampage in a liquor store. Yes, a raccoon. Drunk, passed out. Images went viral last week showing smashed bottles everywhere, and the raccoon completely splayed out next to a toilet like someone who said, I'm fine, one too many times on a night out. And at first, everyone thought it was a one-off, just a raccoon who had made some bad life choices. But no. According to Animal Protection Officer Samantha Martin, this raccoon has form, and I love this phrase, because nothing makes an animal sound more criminally organized than saying it's got form. This apparently is its third break-in. Not his first, not his second, his third break-in. He's already been caught in a karate studio and the DMV, where he reportedly ate some of their snacks, which raises several questions. Why does a raccoon know where the DMV is? Why does a karate studio need to lock up better against wildlife? And how has this raccoon not been banned from the entire complex? Miss Martin described him as the smart little critter, which feels genuous considering his latest plan was to get absolutely trolleyed and pass out on the toilet floor. But honestly, respect the commitment of this raccoon. This raccoon didn't just steal alcohol, he drank it, blacked out, then got caught. That's a full night out. Somewhere in Virginia, there is a raccoon waking up with a headache, zero memory, and a reputation. Sounds like a good night out, to be fair. Next up, and this one is a lot more wholesome, a photo bombing giraffe has become one of the stars of a unique exhibit designed purely to make people smile, which I fully support, because apparently people were trying to take nice, calm photos, and this giraffe just kept appearing in the background like, hello, so I'm part of the show. So I'm now part of that, and you can keep it and put it on your mantelpiece. I love animals that don't understand personal space. Imagine going through your camera roll and suddenly finding there's a giraffe head hovering behind you in like he's cryptic. No warning, no consent, just vibes. If raccoons are causing are the chaotic drunk of the animal kingdom, giraffes are the absolutely tall mate who leans into every photo, whether you ask for it or not. Oh, here's a good one. This one is a reminder that criminals are not always masterminds. A car involved in a police chase ended up stuck in a narrow country lane. And if you're from the UK, you already know what I'm chatting about. You know the type of road. It's two hedges, no pavement, barely wide enough to get a wheelbarrow through. And someone thought, yeah, I can get my car through that. Spoiler, it wasn't. The chase ended not with a dramatic takedown, but with the car being wedged so tightly, it may as well apply for planning permission. I imagine the police arriving to the scene, you'd be like, well, that's convenient. We can save petrol. Would love to read that police report as well. But honestly, sometimes the countryside does the job for them. And here we go down to my beautiful county in Devon. So a Devon farmer has gone viral after being filmed disco dancing with their sheep. And I need to be clear, it's not ironic. It's not a joke. This man is in a field, absolutely committing to disco moves with sheep. The sheep are vibing. The sheep are energetic. The sheep are clearly thinking, yes, this is the man we can follow. Sounds like something that a load of people do in the UK. And look, if this is not peak British content, I don't know what is. No influencer ring light, no brand deal, just a farmer, a field, a disco energy, and sheep who didn't ask for this, but are now part of it forever. Honestly, iconic. And finally, this one had made me laugh purely because of how dramatic it sounds compared to the rest. Compared to how small this actually was. So the Coast Guard in Weston-super-Mare were given an early morning scare when their alarm system was triggered at 3:19 a.m. Emergency services responded. Turns out it was caused by a tiny creepy crawly. That's it. That's the threat. Imagine being called out at 3:30 in the morning, adrenaline pumping, thinking something's happening, only to discover the culprit is an insect that probably doesn't know what a coast guard is. And honestly, that bug is telling its mates. He's like, yeah, mate, I went and shut down the emergency services once, and all his buggy mates can be like, nah, he didn't, nah. And he's like, look, news article, I'm there. And why this matters a bit. And I think this is why I love weird news sections like this. Because for every heavy headline that we have, and there's loads, every serious issue, there's also a drunk raccoon with a criminal record, sheep enjoying disco, giraffes ruining photos, and insects causing nationwide panic. The world is strange, people are strange, animals are clearly running their own storylines, and sometimes laughing at that is exactly what's needed, especially at Christmas. All right, that's your weird and funny news for this episode. And coming up next, before we wrap things up properly, I want to talk about what's happening next year.
Bearded Steve podcast. Bearded Steve podcast.
Right, before we wrap things up, I said earlier in this episode that I'd come back to something. If you remember right at the start, I very rudely cut myself off mid-sentence and smashed straight into the intro music. That wasn't an accident. That was very much intentional chaos. So now it only feels right to actually finish that sentence. When the podcast comes back in the new year, the first episode back on the 5th of January, I won't be doing it on my own. We'll have a guest. And that episode will be featuring Ryan, my very good mate Ryan. Known him for 6-7 years. Yeah, but there we go. Sentence finally finished. Intro joke officially paid off. Get in. And I'm genuinely looking forward to that one. The vibe of that episode is going to be completely different from this Christmas special. This one's been reflective, slower, and very end of year energy. The episode with Ryan is going to be more conversational, a bit more chaotic, and very much a back into it kind of episode. We'll be talking about what we actually did over our break, not the highlight reel, not the Instagram version, but the real version. How Christmas actually felt, what surprised us, what didn't go to plan, and what we're carrying into the new year. We'll touch on goals as well, but not the new year, new me sort of way. Ryan's got this. You'll have to see. It's great. And then, because people really enjoyed it before, guest rapid fire questions are coming back. Quick fire, no prep, no overthinking. The kind of questions where you don't get time to craft the perfect answer. You just have to react. They worked brilliantly in Joker's episode, and if you haven't seen that, it's episode 2 of this season. It's absolutely great. It's carnage, and this is why they're absolutely staying. And knowing Ryan, those questions could either go very smoothly or derail the whole entire conversation within minutes, and then Ryan has to redo a DBS check. Either way, it'll be a good listen. It'll be a good laugh. That episode drops on the 5th of January. Until then, I'm not disappearing. I'm still around about on streams, Discord, and messages. I'm just letting the podcast itself rest, so it can come back with the right energy instead of being forced. Because if one thing this Christmas special has been about, it's this: slowing down isn't a failure, rest isn't quitting, and you don't need everything figured out to take the next step. So yeah, that's what's coming up next. Now, let's wrap this up properly. Right, that brings us to the end of the Christmas special. Before I send you off into the festive chaos or the festive quiet, there are just a few quick things I want to mention. And then I'll let you go on with your day. I'll let you go enjoy your festive period. First up, a massive favour. This generally helps more than you realise. If you've enjoyed this episode, or if Quacks and Chats has been something you keep coming back to this year, please take a moment, rate the podcast wherever you're listening. Those ratings really help the show reach more people, especially people who might need something like this at the time of the year. If you know someone who'd like something off this episode, share it. If you've enjoyed, with 16 episodes in now, so if any of those episodes you think someone else might enjoy, share it. Send it to a mate, post it on your socials, drop it into a group chat. Even one share can make a huge difference. Next up, the shop. If you've ever been thinking about picking something up, now's the perfect time. You can get 10% off your entire order using the code Quacks and Chats. I'll put it down in the description. The code is only valid until the 24th of December though. So whether that's a little treat for yourself or a last minute gift, that discount's there for you. Every order helps support the podcast and everything else I'm building around it. So thank you to anyone who's already supported it. It honestly means the world. Quick TikTok heads up as well. When we hit 1,000 followers on TikTok, we'll be doing a giveaway of merch. Details will be shared on TikTok close to the time. We're a few, 100 and something odd off. But if you're not following, go over there and give us a follow. And do that if you want a chance to win. Now's a good time to jump in. Now the Discord. If you're not already in there, come join us. It's always open, it's welcoming, and it's a proper little community. Whether you want to chat, vent, talk games, share wins, or just lurk quietly and read messages, there's space for you in there. And if Discord isn't your thing, that's okay too. You know where to find me. I'm always a message away. Before I go, I want to leave you with this. This time of year asks a lot from people. So look after yourself, keep your words kind, be gentle with yourself, try and get those ducks in a line, or at least keep them from causing too much chaos. I'll be back on the 5th of January. Until then, I'll still be around on stream, message and Discord. Just let the podcast come back and chill. So from everyone at Quacks and Chats, a Bearded Steve podcast, happy holidays, have a happy new year, and until the 5th of January, good bye.
Thanks for watching Quacks and Chats with the Bearded Steve, a Bearded Steve podcast.